What's up, you guys? I am so excited because today we're going to be listening to two tracks from Nightreign, the Dreglord OST and Balancer's Harmonia OST. My name is Marco. I love talking about video game music from an emotional perspective after a decade plus of being an opera singer and being on stage. And yeah, let's dive in. It goes without saying, but unfortunately, I obviously can see the characters. But my goal here with this is to talk about the emotional parts of the music, what I'm hearing, what I'm feeling, just all of it. So let's dive in, shall we? Let's start with Balancer's Harmonia. Harmonia. Wow, so that's really cool because obviously we're looking at a choir here, and then to have the actual female choir there going, and it's interesting because that tone itself, it's almost like a reckoning of God. It's almost like the balancers slash harmonia are inviting you to a duel, but the way that the sound is it's actually very malicious and dangerous, which is interesting because they are so heavenly appearing. So in my mind, there's actually a duplicity within that visual, where even though we're seeing them as poised, regal, proper, very elegant, they're actually almost also like a fallen from grace or vile, evil, dangerous, so on and so forth. Let's kick in as we move into the momentum here. It's interesting because we just passed the holiday season and Christmas, and it's interesting because this track feels like a chaotic thing, like a chaotic Handel's Messiah. It's a piece that you would hear in a church. It's a piece that you would hear normally in a place of sanctity, a place of holiness. And instead, what you're getting is an increase in tempo, which makes it more vile, more dangerous, more villainous, coupled with that dissonance in the horn, which also is disturbing us to the point of being uncomfortable, because the choral stuff, the high soprano stuff, is very emblematic of religiousness, religiosity, heavenly, resolute in faith and in belief. But the trumpet, doubling the sopranos there, has this distortion in it that was dissonance that makes it feel very, very, very terrifying. I love the harpsichord in the background, which is why, again, I relate it to very like a German style of oratorio being a music that's relating to God or religion and Christianity. Slow down. So an interesting point, and not either to its benefit or to its fault. I can't tell which one it is for me just yet. There's a bit of just disjointedness. So the one thing that this track doesn't really have, now it has melody, but it doesn't have a melodic line that is easily singable, that pulls you in, that makes you feel like you can kind of like trust in it and rely in it and sing through the phrase and so on and so forth. Like if I was a singer trying to sing this, I would be miserable, because if you think about it, so we have the vocals that do their thing. We have the lower strings that are doing their thing, like the cellos and so on and so forth. That's all fine, but none of it is cohesive. Probably intentional, but what ends up happening from a listening perspective is it's a bit of just a casual listening. It's a bit of a turnoff because there's no sense of unity or unification or a gathering of the melody into what we would feel would be a earworm or something easily singable, like a Ludwig the Holy Blade or any of the prior Nightreign tracks. Elden Ring has this, of course, where there's a real sustained melody that enables us to kind of feel the vibes out, even if it's a little disjointed around it. The last 1 minute and 37 seconds has been absolute chaos. I can't really follow it, even though there's like really nice bits and bops here that are happening that are interesting. Probably intentional, but I have to point it out that it's a little jarring and doesn't feel great to listen to because it doesn't. But I think that's the point, though. The point is not to create a sense of comfort. It's actually to create the opposite. This is intended to be unnerving, and it's supposed to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would assume balancers, I guess, or Harmonia or whatever they are, that are independently functioning while they're functioning together, if that makes sense. So, I'm just paying attention to that. It's a very interesting thought. Wow. Okay, right here. So it's a bit of a fugue format where a round robin essentially, where we start with the vocals in the very upper register. Then it sounds like the strings are now picking up the motif and picking up the musical idea and going. And then maybe we'll pick up another instrument, hopefully, and keep going. So it's interesting because, again, there's this feeling of disjointedness, but also like it's a very unique piece certainly for FromSoft, but it's a very unique piece because it has this feeling of lightness that we really don't get very often. I mean, this is much more of a choral prayer or a gathering of religious ideology in a sense that we don't typically hear this sound in FromSoft music very often, if ever. And it's kind of refreshing, but also you can hear in that little corner where we just stopped. Listen to this. Just listen to how disjointed this actually feels. Like that's all over the place because you have if I'm hearing this correctly, obviously I don't have sheet music in front of me, so I can't like look at it. But we have is a delay within the cello when it's playing the sustain notes, while the chorus is just doing its thing. There's no unity between the bass and the lower portions of this and the upper register to create a sense of cohesion. So we have like almost two different musical ideas, probably intentionally, but it makes for a hard listening experience outside of it, but with intention, of course. That's cool. Yeah. So you hear how now we're synced up. So that's awesome. Even just that right off the bat, so much more interesting to listen to, but it's because we move away from the individual aspects of this, and it ends up being a unifying attack. So what ends up happening is the pattern shifts away from being multi-pronged to being unified. They jump up in the air, they aim their staffs down. I haven't seen any gameplay, so I'm just talking out of my butt here, but it's like, and it's like they all launch their staffs, or they launch this like, I imagine like a beam of golden light just, and all of them kind of do it together as they unify with that larger choral sound and also the doubling of the instruments there. Yeah. Love the little lift there too, by the way. Listen, it's so subtle. I also love, again, now we're unified. Now we're fighting in a cohesive pattern. We're spinning around, we're doing everything, maybe everything that we did separately, and maybe they were in a fugue pattern where a round robin where we were individually attacking the same kind of attacks but at different times, whereas now everything is together. It's almost like there's this sort of spinning thing that's happening, but I love the little lift that makes it a little bit more tense. I mean, absolute chaos. And then one of the interesting things here that's also very appealing is that out of all of this noise, out emerges the solo voice. And the solo voice kind of proceeds through them as if to say, like, this is me. I'm the one you are should be paying attention to. As we guide ourselves through that, it's like the other sopranos are still doing their thing. There's still chaos within that, but then that solo soprano voice kind of comes out the top and dominates, briefly dominates that moment, and it leaves us really with oh, who's that? You know what I mean? It's almost like the waters part, and out comes this particular balancer or harmonia or whatever it is, and is like, no, here I am, and suddenly there's a shift, and I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's really hard to parse because there's so many elements of this, and they're all kind of doing their own thing chaotically at that. Really interesting. But that phrase, ba, 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 da, ba, that's actually highly positive. The sound in that is very heroic, actually. So in that moment, even though this is a boss, in that moment, this sound is really heralding the arrival of a new beginning, or arrival of something much greater. The intention of the balancers / harmonia is not one of evil. At least not to them, I think. And if anything, this is the sound of salvation, the sound of retribution, the sound of holy justice. And holy justice is not going to sound evil. If anything, it's going to sound positive in the way that this does, which is quite interesting. And do you see from a listening perspective how right there we get the timpani, everything kind of aligns, we get the full instrumental backing of that. There's a boom, brah. There's this natural sound of it's much more comfortable to listen to. That's because everything we've heard before this, and this is probably again a unifying coming together, a unifying moment within the piece. Don't you hear how when this happens, there's much more of a sound quality of that is pleasant to listen to. The first half of this is unpleasant, not in a negative I hate it way. It's not my favorite, but do you hear how the first half, intentionally so, is disproportionately disjointed? It's all over the place. That is its intended purpose, right? Now the back half, much more. Not only is it energetic, but it's also it's a much more unified, cohesive piece that is much more interesting to listen to, and more comfortable. Now we're getting the Everdark version, I'm pretty sure. This is interesting because there's the whispering behind it, and then also it feels like there's one balancer left, and they like spit out blood, and they're like blood trickling down their neck, and they go, pfft, and they stand up, and it's almost like the rest of the balancers sort of come together and morph into the one, and they kind of consume and or one of them like assumes the role of the matriarch of the balancers, and you know they all kind of gather in together and. You know, like typical format, but I love the whispering because the cello and the lower instruments, the violin and viola, there's a sound there of loss and of sadness. This really feels very heroic in the sense that it's a not a fallen hero, but the ideology is very very like, no, we're in the right, you know, like that's the sound. Bit of decay. Slow. The degree of psychosis within them. There's definitely a degree of psychosis there, a feeling of like, you don't understand. You know, like that. That's a real fun sound. It's all over the place. Yeah, we lose our way. I mean, this is a sound of like, but so again, we're stripped of our not humanity, but we're stripped of our purity, of our light, and what we're left with is the raw state of the soul, and the soul is very putrid. There's an angst, there's anger in it. There's like, you don't know anything about me. It's like something needs to be exorcised out of this character. Because it's sad. I mean, there's a somber. It's sad. There's a lot of decay in it, a lot of descending patterns. I feel lost in it, but it's all over the place. There's no like melodic. I think the whispering is really evocative. I mean, listen to that. Like decay right there. No resolution, really. Okay, I respect that. I mean, it's an intense piece. I mean, the thing is, it's kind of all over the place, and I don't mean it in a negative way. I think it's just for what it is. There's a lot of this dance with death, and I feel like there's a fluidity within the movement here that is very, evocative. I mean, it's very, very, very much a fall from grace. Things that should be protectors, that it's a common trope, right? Things that should be protectors end up becoming oppressors, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's a very complex piece that feels really, really disjointed. I think in a listening format, I think that makes it a little bit challenging to appreciate because there's no cohesive way to wrap my ears around the listening experience. That doesn't mean that it doesn't work within context, which I'm sure it does. Because there's an intensity within that. So I'd say my biggest note on it, and one of I think the biggest things that kind of pulls it for me from being really fully enjoyable, is just that it's all over the place. There's a lot of mixed meter, a lot of shifting rhythms that none of it feels conclusive or that it really goes anywhere. It kind of just feels like we threw everything at the kitchen sink and said, let's just see where we land. Now, I don't think that that's that's not a criticism to Tomisawa-san, the composer for this particular piece, because I do think that it has a lot of merit. The musical instrument choices are terrific. I thought that some of the melodic patterns that we do end up hearing, especially in the strings, really, really good. I would say that I prefer the Everdark version, if that's what I heard, the back half of this, but also the middle was terrific. So, overall, though, it's cool to listen to this. Let's move over to the Dreglord. This is composed by Miyazawa-san, Shoei Miyazawa. Let's check this out. This has been highly requested. Let's go. Wow. Holy shit. Ooh, boy, love, aggressive, violent. Like this, I mean, I've seen the Dreglord, of course. There's this picture here, and I saw another image. Heavy, massive, bulbous, colossal. You hear the brum, brum in the lower piano. Very aggressive. Love the whispering. Love the glissando slide up with the strings coupled by the. With the voices really sending home this idea of a god, a Belial, of malicious, malignant, violent, deadly, brutal, every kind of adjective that you can use to describe something disgusting and rage filled, just and you feel that, and it really. You know what I mean? I love it. It's very, very, very evocative. Excuse me, I lost myself there. Lots of vocals. Dum 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 dum. I love this. It's an unholy duet, but it's interesting, because the way that the momentum is in the lower red, so the strings, it's a real it's a song that shouldn't exist. It's horrifying, right? Like the sound itself is unnerving, uncomfortable, but you know what it feels like? It feels like this is a dance between two evil. It's like Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. Like it's something like this abomination. It's almost like this is the song of the parents of the Dreglord, right? Like this is the baby. It's like like the sound is very operatic. Obviously now the vocals are very operatic in this case, but there's also like there's a slight synthetic sound in there, a little bit of an electronic beat, but I love the momentum. The lower piano is absolutely divine, but I love the balance between the soprano vocals there and the tenor vocals. It is a little bit disjointed as well, much like the first piece that we listened to. But you hear how, not to directly compare them, but do you hear how this piece feels much more tight? Feels much more synced with itself. It knows exactly what it's trying to say. It's less chaos, but that's because also this is one entity with whatever past or upbringing or background it has. But there's a bit less of meandering and a much more of a focus, which I like a lot. Love the time that ba-bum, bum. It's cool. It's cool too because the lower register has a tempest quality. The tempest quality in that is excellent. It's very rich in the sense that like we feel like we're like swinging this like thing, you know, and I find the soprano choice kind of interesting because the soprano feels in direct opposition to, even though the melody that the soprano's singing is extremely disjointed. What's cool about it is that it's almost like this like internal monologue of the Dreglord or some sort of like, it's as if the Dreglord, maybe the tenor is the Dreglord, and this is actually like, this is over years and years and years, this particular character becomes morphed and vilified and angry, and it's like that's the king and the queen, much like the Macbeth example I said earlier, but it loses itself and it becomes this maladapted, disgusting, vile form that then kind of like it retains its memories, but it's almost like a zombie. There's no semblance of grasping the past anymore. Pretty cool. Like that boom, bam, 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 bam. Speed up in tempo, pick up. Ba 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 da ba, ba 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 da ba. Doo-dum, 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 doo-dum. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Wow, a real resolution ending. It's interesting because there's a lot of opulence within the sound. It's a dance with the self. It's a dance of decay. It's a dance of obviously foreboding. But you have to ask yourself, like, why are we making certain choices? Like, why do we include tenor, baritone, tenor vocals mixed in with soprano? Like, and then what is the intention there? What is the purpose? And I think to me, the big purpose there is opulence. Operatic singing is associated with opulence, is associated with money, even though you can go see an opera for, you should wear whatever you want to an opera. Their tickets are not super expensive depending on where you go. It's not restrictive like that, but there's elegance. There's, you picture the classical time period. You picture poise. You picture, it's odd for this kind of intensity to showcase these kinds of vocals. And moreover, I do think that the history of the Dreglord, now I don't know how much history these Nightreign characters have, but there is certainly an element there of like what once used to be. And so the memory has not faded from existence, but now we are dealing with a total, this is like what happens after years and years and years of hatred or anger, like some sort of a morphing that occurs, when all the vileness of or greed or whatever, and it kind of like sucks into our bodies, and suddenly we're like, we become this Dreglord, this vile thing, bloody and so on and so forth. It's pretty interesting. I mean, I don't know what the actual lore is, but that's pretty cool, right? Is this phase 2? Wow. I love the momentum. Oh, the tempo buildup there's crazy. Oh, I love the flourish in the strings. Really a fast tempo. I like how in the beginning we get this dirge moment with the beautiful chorus coming together, and it's almost as if like the thing is on the dead, and all of a sudden it's and then it wakes up, and suddenly it's like, whoa, now what? And it's like it almost like releases all the, and it's almost like it sucks it all back in. But now it sucks it all back in and like climbs up. And then the thing that's interesting about this is that there is this quality of a tossing away of the past and saying, you know what, F all that, screw it. This is who I really am now. It's almost like we hold on to bits of the humanity, and then this becomes the ultimate release of the humanity. Well, we don't lose the background qualities of classicism that exist in it, but we strip away the humanity, and what's left is that memory of what once was. But now there's that brutality and vengeance and anger and disgust and rage, more so than we had before, which is pretty cool. Ooh, wow. Gorgeous. We really do. I love that stirring. Ooh, beautiful piano. What? I love the elegance. I love the poise in this. I love the feeling of like, no. This is the third time. I'm not letting you do it. Like, no. I'm still, and actually we actually shed the speed in this. It feels like we shed away the stuff. And what's left is the core entity, right? And what's left is the speed, the malice. What's left is the energy of this duel, the energy of this effort towards victory, that we don't lose that. It's very calculated, and it's much more poised. I love the piano. I mean, really, when you think about it, we don't get that many piano pieces. I mean, we have a couple, obviously, of course, Gwyn and a few others, but like we really don't get a lot of piano. And this is very, this style of piano writing is very regal and really poised, but it's got elegance to it. Really, elegance is the word. And it's kind of funny to think elegance when I see a picture like this. I can't help but say, like, what is elegant about this? But we strip away the layering, I think, of blood and the body and what's left is the core essence of it. And it's like, I will not die. It's very interesting. Oh, I love that little lick there. Ba-da-ba-da. Do you see how cool that was? We transitioned to the strings there. Wow, wait, go back and listen to how smart and quick this transition is. Isn't that awesome? Listen to how we take over. Kind of chaotic waltz. I love that. Wow, a proper ending? That's crazy. I mean, I think what I find really interesting about this is that this is a complete work. I mean, I don't know if this is an Everdark version that we get later or whatever, but there's a very clear start, beginning, middle, end, especially in the Dreglord track, that is different. And what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing is an approach to music that is explorative and it is trying to push the boundaries for what is known within the FromSoft lexicon and structure, which is very, very, very appealing. While it doesn't always work, I think it's healthy and important that we start to shift the way that we look at, that the FromSoft music is being composed and structured. Because throughout Elden Ring, you had, your two-phase bosses, one phase one way, second phase more intense music, without fail. And so within that, yes, of course, the way that they're written is different, the structures are different, but more or less, that's the expected musical outcome. Whereas with both of these tracks, they were trying different things. And what I find interesting about the Dreglord, this complete version that I'm listening to, is that we have this beginning, middle, end, and all three of those ideas are overarching with a concept, but they're not the standard protocol when it comes to the FromSoft sound. And I think that's quite positive and should be celebrated. Both of these tracks are certainly not my favorite tracks that I've listened to. I still think there are other things in Elden Ring core and, of course, previous FromSoft games that I think are ultimately more polished or better. But it's not to say that these are bad. It's just my own personal taste, right? Like you can tell the passion that went into trying to create music here that is different from the standard FromSoft protocol. And I do think that is an achievement that is to be commended and celebrated, because that is something that can happen with these tracks where it's like, oh yeah, it's all kind of, the lines don't really blur and it's kind of very typical and expected. So in that regard, huge victory. Both of these tracks are interesting and certainly fun to listen to. I'm glad I finally listened to them. I do think that Dreglord is a superior piece compared to the other. And the question just becomes, where do we go from here? How do we continue to move this forward? I do think that the most important thing is of course to lean into melodic structures and melodic writing so that players can connect with and feel the melody. Surprisingly, I actually felt like the back half of this was actually not about the Dreglord at all. I actually felt like this back half was actually for the player, which is very unusual for FromSoft music to have. Usually it's specific to the boss. We're creating a story with music. And I think FromSoft has always excelled at that, and the composition team has always excelled at telling story. I mean, I feel like with both of these pieces, for better or for worse, I was able to really pinpoint whether or not it's accurate, who cares? But what matters is that I was able to create imagery based on the music that was in front of me listening to it, and that's what's important. So that is also to be commended. So I mean, I think like the musical storytelling is constantly at a high bar and delivered on. But I love that we're moving away and shifting into these sort of almost symphonic, complete packages of sound that are delivering something that we would see in a symphony hall. While I don't want us to lose sight of the core melodic sense that really needs to be in there, which is why like pieces like, the main theme from DS3 or Ludwig the Holy Blade or Lawrence the First Vicar or, pieces like that remain Elden Beast or whatever, pieces that remain memorable. Because the thing is, you're not writing for memorability. You're writing to tell a story. And then if it happens to be memorable, that's excellent, right? Like earworms are not things that you just can just do. So that being said, overall, I'm impressed as always. And both of these composers are excellent at what they do. So very cool stuff. Thank you so much for listening. Feel free to check out the Patreon if you want to support the channel. Definitely subscribe if you want. Talk to you later, and thanks a ton. Bye.